Yo, man.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the public access podcast here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond, and thank you for being here. Check out other shows on the network, like When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling podcast. This is It with Lizzie and Saved by the Ben. I think I got all those. I don't know. I think there's more. There's going to be more coming too. There's more podcasts coming. The fucking network is going to be huge. So, yeah, getting more shows coming, more people coming on. And the show is brought to you by Fred Ben Savage as Fuck, Stoner Eats Productions, Hardcore Entertainment, Hypnosis is Great, and Sock 'em Up. Go to sockemup.org, SOCKEMUP.org. You can go and give people socks. People need socks. It's the most requested, least delivered item for people that need stuff. People need socks. Sockemup.org. So today I'm here. I don't know what day of the week it is. Fuck. I want to say it's Tuesday. It is Tuesday because I'm recording When the Gloves Come Off later. That's how I can tell what day of the week it is because, uh, yeah, because I have that show to record later today too. So that's how I can tell. So I'm going to bring on my special guest right here, right now. And my special guest right here, right now is Bryana Sergott. How
Hello.
you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Not too shabby. It's a good day because I don't know. It's just a good day. I have nothing to complain about. I got, I don't know, two podcasts to record. So that's the extent of my day. And it could be, I mean, there's a lot worse things than I could be doing than recording two podcasts in a day. So,
This is very true.
well, yeah, what can you do? Do you have a dog there? Is that a dog? Is that like
I do. I apologize. I don't know if you, but yeah. So this is Freya.
is that a Shiba Inu?
Yes, she's my Shiba. I've
Okay.
actually.
Is
So
what?
I've got two of them actually.
You have two Shiba Inus.
Yes, but Bjorn's over there on the floor right now.
Okay. I knew some people that used to have two Shiba Inus all the time as well, when I was growing up. It was so, I don't remember their names though, but sometimes you can't remember all the names that were 20, 25 years ago. What can you do? Um, you can
That's
try.
very good at letting go, which is a very good thing to have. So
Right. Well, I agree. And I feel that that's something that doesn't happen nearly enough. And it's something that needs to happen. I mean, there's a big difference between letting go and saying you're letting go. There shouldn't be, but it seems there is. I think saying letting go usually means you haven't let it go or haven't. But I mean, there's also a difference between letting it go and working through it and letting it go. And I think that's kind of just as important. I think once it's kind of you don't, you know, you don't talk about it, or like because you can also not talk about it but be thinking about it all the time, and there's that too. So there's some layers to this, but once it's just kind of gone, it's like you're not really dead until you know people stop talking about you, that whole thing that some people say for some reason. It's an interesting thing that people say, especially when people die, that people say that. I don't know. I've had a lot of people die recently, and it's a different, definitely a weird thing to hear someone say, but I don't know. I don't know. So I think basically what I'm getting to is, yeah, being able to let go of something fully after working through it is kind of what needs to happen for anything to move forward. 'Cause I mean, that could be something that could be stopping and blocking a bunch of other shit from your life going on, is, that one, whatever that event is. And whoever might not even know what that event is. And that's the hard part too. If, like, especially if they think it is one thing, but it's actually something probably that happened before that, that is not even in the head. It's just, well, it's in there. It's in the brain. It's in that part, but it's nothing that would have ever been thought up. And it's something that needs to be worked through to be able to let go. And I don't know. I feel there's so much of a need to hold on to things longer than we need to. And I don't know if it's something that's kind of put in our culture because it can keep us, I don't know, because there's like uh there's nostalgia. There's this longing for nostalgia of all kinds of goofy shit. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't like, for instance, Blockbuster Video, which to me is the Walmart of video stores, but that's a whole different rabbit hole here. But the just wanting to keep things going and kind of going over them when it's something that, I guess the only way that would really help a person evolve into the future would be because maybe it's a pleasant memory. But I don't know. What do you think? I just kind of went off on a tangent, like 7, 8 tangents on there, about a lot of stuff. But what about you?
I feel a lot of similarities. I mean, what with see, I recently watched something with Brene Brown, the Atlas of the Heart. Don't know if you've heard of it, but it is
I've not. Is it something new?
it's probably a little over a year old.
Okay,
But,
yeah. Then I'm very disconnected from a lot of things. But tell me about it, please.
so basically, it just talks about human emotion and how we like box and label things. And to be honest with you, she goes over the fact that there's well over a different well over about 100 or so different human emotions, but because we haven't really spent much time working with them, we box and label it all into about 5 different boxes, when there's more complexity to it all, and basically, so everybody has their own emotional language, and it does have to go through all the different locks and dams of your traumas and the things you have not let go of. And exactly, I wholeheartedly believe what you said about the fact that we don't really pay attention to the letting go process the way that we should. And a lot of people in that, they actually have lack of communication within themselves to understand what has actually been processed, what is in the process of being processed, because it all ultimately, it comes to a sense of presence. Like, and and when I've talked about that word presence with people, people are like, what are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, so if you're physically here, but you got the brain chatter going and it's so loud and everything, you're not fully present. And if you're not able to, if your emotions have channels, locks, and dams on them, then you're not fully present. Until you go back through and you work through and you take the time and spend the time to hoist up all those anchors that you've placed back in the past and remove the anxiety and the fear of the future to get yourself to be here in this moment completely, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, then you've got some work to do. All of us do, and we live in a society that doesn't, like you said, it is very nostalgic. So nostalgia keeps it in its essence. Underneath the surface, it transmits a message that you need to hold on to this, hold
Right.
on to that, hold on to that. And then we also guilt each other, like, well, say a breakup or something like that happens, we guilt it. Well, if you let go of me that fast, you must not have cared. No.
That's a fucked up one that gets thrown around quite a bit, and for some reason it's kind of become a standard. It's a standard uh consciousness of that is a thing that if you can get past me that quick, then you didn't really, you didn't really love me like that, and that's pretty fucked up. But
There's also a flip side to everything. There's always a different perspective, because from the other person's perspective, you can be like, well, I don't think you truly love me then. If you haven't completely realized this hasn't worked, it's over. And if you really love me, you should want me to move forward and be in the presence of love, or whatever that may be for that individual or somebody else. You should want that for that person. Oh, I know it didn't work between us, but I am so grateful for the time that we had each other in our lives on our path. But you know what? I'm going to send you off with kisses and hugs as you move forward to hopefully find what it is that does resonate with you that can be long lasting,
so
Uh,
how
yeah.
does that happen? Like, out of 1,000 times, I wish that would happen 3 times out of 1,000, and this world would be a lot better. And I mean, if you could beat that number, could be larger, but I don't know. I would love it if people were that fucking mature during a breakup and get to that point. And I mean, how does someone get to that point, do you think?
You really have to question yourself. You really have to, look in the mirror and really question yourself and start thinking about things. And I mean, I had to come to the conclusion that, and it was challenging for me at first to realize that my understanding and definitions of love and everything weren't consistent with that. I believe there's like that Hollywood like idea of romance. Then there's the kind of whatever population you find yourself immersed in, there's that kind of current definition. But then there's the true definition of, like, how have you actually experienced love? Whether it's romantic love, whether it's, friendship, whether it's family, all of those are your truth. And that's your start point for how you feel. And unless you can go to that truth, you won't ever get back to your start point, and you're always going to be chasing something else, and instead of what actually, because there is no equation that you can give and just go, okay, world, here's the equation, plug that in and you'll find love, because everybody has their own story. Everybody is on their own journey, their own path, so I can't tell you how to define love for you, because I don't know the full you. Only you can do that. But
Right.
ultimately, once I started to work through that, you start to realize it is a lot bigger than you think, because a lot of people are walking around thinking they know what love is, and haven't really taken the time to self-reflect and really discover that all love begins with love of self. So
Right. And
you're challenged in that area and it begins with that self-reflection. You start self-reflecting, and then you start to realize, oh, I haven't been that great of a person to myself. Do you treat yourself as good as you would a friend or a family member? More times than not, people, if they answer it honestly, it's probably not, because you're always seeking love outside of you by, oh, I'm not saying that we all task ourselves only for the hope that the return is love, but it is rooted in that for most people, if not all of us. But and almost everything that we're taught, be selfless, don't care about yourself, love others. But the thing is if one thing that resonates with me, and it's been sticking with me since pre-COVID, is if you don't don your oxygen mask first, you are not going to be no good to nobody else. And it is not wrong. I mean, there is a conceited kind of love or something. Like, if you have that kind of love for self, it's going to reflect in your daily the interactions with other people. But if you have the true love of self that you've been searching for from another person, if you love yourself that way, it will also reflect in your life, and you will magnetically attract those people that are vibrating on that same frequency of love, so.
Right. And yeah, the person that, or whoever person, or multiple of people, or how many people are in your uh love circle, it I mean, yeah, like on one of my other podcasts, like at the end of every episode, we talk about that, about with the oxygen mask analogy. And it's I mean, it's true. I mean, I've like, one of my things, my one of my hats is I'm a marriage counselor. And I mean, one of the things is, I mean, how many are just missing out, and just like that does not even occur to them that they need to take care of themselves first. And then, like, with them only taking care of themselves that much, loving themselves that much, like you were saying, it only resonates that much. It only resonates, you're going to resonate with people who are on your same level. And I mean, you're going to end up, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to end up with trying to take care of someone else who is on that same level as you, but you're not going to get to that level, and your whole life is going to be about trying to take care of this person, when you yourself are going and, like, not doing that to yourself, and then wondering then how they're getting better, but then they're also in turn trying to love somebody that doesn't love themselves. And trying to love somebody that doesn't love themselves is virtually impossible. It's not completely impossible, but pretty much is. And especially if, I don't know. I mean, I guess if they know that they don't love themselves, that can at least set them on the path towards being able to love themselves. Whereas, or denying that they don't love. I mean, but you have to know in your heart that you don't love yourself. If you don't love yourself, maybe you don't. But I mean, yeah, knowing that you don't, I mean, that gives you the option to be able to go and start working on yourself, which is something that, again, I don't think happens enough. And I think it can be looked at in society as selfish to want to like love yourself, to a better degree, get yourself in a better place, work through things. Um, sure, helping out people is great, but yeah, like you said, you're not going to be able to help out people if you're struggling for oxygen.
You definitely can't, like, the whole analogy is if you pass out first, then you're no good to anybody else. And I think that you know, just circling back to what we were talking about, like letting go and, you know, people dying and things like that is, you know, I do adhere to like some of the Buddhist teachings, and, you know, the thing about suffering and, you know, the impertinence of it all. You know, once you've done enough work, because like you were alluding to earlier, it's like there's one thing in saying it and there's another in actually doing it, and then the result of actually doing it and being able to feel that result in your life. You know, it a lot of the times it is repetitious, but you when you start to self-reflect, you just got to stay on that path enough to where, you know, you literally transcend all of that, of what you were alluding to is in the beginning it's just words, but those words become eventually like a mantra. And, you know, and eventually that mantra is kind of like a better anchor pulling you in a different direction while you're letting go of the other stuff. And then eventually you can let go of all the anchors and you're just there because you're existing in it, you know. And
Yep.
I honestly think that what we're dealing with more is there's just a huge entanglement, you know. I mean, um even when you start to self-reflect and you realize that, like, because when I started going through my spiritual awakening, it was all kind of reflective back at me, you know, like, and when you're in that stage of it, you don't realize that pretty much everybody is experiencing what you're experiencing. Or, you know, like, if you're a really good person, if you're like, wow, I used to live that way and think that, well, like in my essence, I've just wanted to love purely, you know. But then the realization that I've been chasing Hollywood love my whole life, for me, that was like, what? Are you kidding me? I was doing that, you know? And so there's some hard truths that we got to swallow along the way. But if you swallow enough of them, you realize everybody is in that same boat. It's not just you. But the just thinking it's just you and it, I think is what keeps us logged in that place, if that makes sense.
That
And
makes sense. Yeah.
and then it's like, as you start to realize it, there's kind of like there's 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 a lot of texture to it all. I mean, there's a lot of ebbs and flows and different currents, and your definition, like, your feelings are a different language than my language, you know. And like what I was talking about the beginning with love, it's like we can vocalize back and forth and we can go off the Webster dictionary of what we're saying, but the truth of the matter is underneath it, it's still triggering my emotional definition of what we're talking about too. And every person is doing that simultaneously, and especially if it's a vulnerable, an emotionally vulnerable state that you're with somebody. I mean, those are the most challenging ones to move through. But when we realize that we are all in a state of love, it's just a matter of altitude, you know. I mean, like when the clouds are rolling in and it's dark and everything, you take off and you launch over and you get above those clouds and there's blue sky and, you know, a huge beautiful sun up there and nice and warm and everything like that. So it's all about elevation. And, you know, when you believe that the true essence of every being is love, then you can relieve yourself of a lot of those worries and concerns. Like, I would rather be able to effectively communicate with somebody that I love, whether it be romantic love or not, even if it's the hard communication about things that are challenging emotionally or psychologically, but grounded in the understanding it's coming from a good place. Because if I love you and you're sitting there and you have challenging emotions and feelings, but you have to keep it inside or go talk to somebody else about it, our connection is diminished,
Yep.
you know?
Right.
So being able to understand that this difficult conversation is coming from it's grounded in real love, you should be able to open yourself to hear anything, you know, and allow that exchange to happen. Yeah, you know, it might be challenging in the moment and this and that, but eventually it gets better, you know. And Don't go off on a tangent like a child and get mad and, oh, I can't believe you feel this way, or think that, like, that just traps the other person and pushes them more away from you, eventually builds walls. The more dialogue we can exchange and the better you truly get to know. I've come to the conclusion that, sadly, there's a lot of people in this world that think that they have this wonderful relationship, but they're still in a relationship with a complete stranger. If you don't allow somebody to express the heavy feelings and the dialogue that needs to happen, then you're estranged to that person, no matter how close you think you are to them, and there should be a lot more safety and being vulnerable with other people. And it doesn't have to just even be people that you feel are close to you. I think the only reason why we have a fear, and actually the word exists, vulnerability, is because we created it ourselves from a lack of being able to communicate effectively with each other. Because there could be a world where vulnerability, like, what is that word? I don't even understand what that word is. I mean, because I'm fluid, I'm on my surface because I'm able to share everything I'm feeling. So where does vulnerability even come into it, So
Right. And that part where someone gets to a part where they need to be vulnerable, and it's something that is, uh I don't know. I don't, the term, I'm not big on the term triggering, but something that is triggering for someone, that means it should be like, that's something that should be talked about and like really be able to work through, because then once that's, because things that are triggering can become non-triggering. They can just become things like vulnerability, and like once it's worked through. But like once someone realizes that that is something that's like, oh shit, okay, well this thing's kind of fucking with me, but I can let it fuck with me for my whole life, or I can go and jump into it right now and be able to talk with someone who just is there to, you know, maybe listen. Maybe they're not hearing, maybe they're listening, maybe they aren't, but it's something that, or maybe the person does it on their own. However, they want to work through anything. I mean, you can. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would have said this 5, 10 years ago, but I don't know if there's really anything that can't be worked through. And it's kind of fucked up, and it's easy to say. And like I said, I wouldn't have thought this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But again, it's one of those. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I don't know. Like with, I mean, with hypnosis, at least I can get anyone to work through anything if they want to. And again, putting up, this thing is gonna, like, knowing that this thing like is gonna be messing with me if someone brings it up. Like, you bring it up one more time. Yeah, I get you. I get you in the most relaxed state, and we fucking, you work through it in your head. I'm just guiding you along the path. But if you find something that's blocking you from being able to get to that level of next level of just being able to, because that's also stopping you from loving yourself as much as you can. Being able to have this part, like, yeah, this like dark part of me that's just don't don't you're like Achilles heel, I guess. um and being able to work through that is just is able to let that go, just be able to release that, and how freeing that can be, and then being able to be 100% open, and as opposed to 99% open, and how much of a difference that 1% can make.
I would definitely start. See, that's the other thing. It's like when we start talking about, like, at our essence, everybody is just this love. That is where it's at. But like in your business and what you were just explaining, there's so many different layers stacked on top of that, because you got your life experience and the things that have happened to you and so it's like when I encounter somebody that I don't feel like is expressing their love for themselves, I'll say, because everybody, I think on some level, it's just a matter of piercing what layers you need to, you're going to strike oil. I mean, you're going to get to the point where it's like, oh, wow, why didn't I feel about myself this the whole time? But self-image is one of the strongest layers to penetrate. And when you get back to childhood and the parents that were around, and you grew up in the baby boomer kind of post World War II era, there wasn't a lot of warmth, and there was a lot of poor self images generated towards kids in those days. So it's like you really have to go back, forgive your parents. They were doing the best that they could. Kind of remove some of that tension and everything like that, and then just really get to a place of being honest with yourself. It wouldn't be that person's fault as their poor self-image, but you got to go back and be like, okay, but this is the truth of it, because this is what was portrayed to me. This is how I felt. I wasn't able to process this, and it's buried under a whole life now, so let go of the whole life, and then start reprocessing yourself in your own image, because the wonderful thing is now you have an entire life to extract the more positive stuff from. You don't make it X amount of years down the road without doing something positive. But we've been also socially conditioned to always focus on the negative, negative, negative. So you're always just like, oh, I must be this pile of all the things that I got wrong. No, those are just your mistakes, and everybody makes them, so because if you were given a poor image as a child, more than likely that's what you're doing. You're collecting all your mistakes, and you have been made to believe that your mistakes are who you are. Honey, no, you're not your mistakes. You're the person that worked through, persevered, and wanted to work through those things, and it is also still judging yourself for those things. You wouldn't judge yourself if you were a bad person of the bad things that you have done. I mean, go a little deeper and define that for yourself and see it for what it is, so there's always more depth to everything. But I find that people just move from one spot to the next and just keep going. And the other thing is I feel like more than likely, probably for a lot of our generation, it was like somebody, by the time you became an adult, at least for me, it was like somebody slapped the warp button. But we're in a Spaceballs movie, it's like they've gone flat. It's like you can't keep up with everything, because you were prepared for a world to like go out and work in and do this, and we were never prepared to handle the emotional challenges of being alive,
At ludicrous speed.
Yes. But that's where we're getting to right now, and I think that that's where we're evolving right now, is starting to understand how to unpackage those emotions and those feelings, and kind of grow with them and water them and nurture them and everything else to find that better balance with ourselves, because if you're literally in your logical, rational side of your mind all the time, and you're disassociating your emotions out of a sense of survival, then you're not a balanced person. I've seen the adults in my life when I was younger, and they could give the illusion that everything is great. The bills are paid. There's food in the house. You got clothes on your back, this and that. Okay, but you're not healthy emotionally. Right. You can put gas in the car and go and physically move through your life. But if you're just isolating or boxing your emotions and not dealing with them, or just kicking some of it down the road, then it is a brutal journey, until you find balance. And then once you find balance, find a way to keep it in balance as you move forward the best that you can.
And whatever it is going to come back up at some point in your life. It's not just going to be put away and it's never going to see the light of day ever again. Something's gonna bring it up and like, oh yeah, shit, that sucked. I forgot all about that, but here it is again. I'm you know experiencing it, and I haven't worked through it at all. And here it is again, and it's kicking my ass, and I don't know what to do. And I mean, I've been down that. I've been down that path. I sure as fuck have. And it sucks. It's not a fun one. And getting to a point like, and then realizing like, okay, if I work through it and this happens again, it's not going to be nearly as impactful as it was before. And it's like, oh, okay, well, shit. All right, there it is. And then you fucking go on with your day. Here's a little bit further on in the day and you're fine. And it's not something that's debilitating for 2 weeks and just stop everything. And there's, I don't know. It's because I mean, yeah, when we were kids, I mean, we weren't taught. I don't none of this. I don't think. I mean, I wasn't. I wasn't taught any of it. I didn't teach any of it from our families or our schooling or anything else really. It was, I yeah, just fucking put it away and it'll be fine. And then here we are later. It's like, oh yeah, that was wrong. I don't know if I hope that, but then I also don't, like you were saying earlier, I don't think somebody should be their mistakes. And I think that's something that's kind of like if your mistakes make you are, and that's who you are, and that's all you think you are, that kind of sucks. And that's not going to do anyone any good. But at the same time, those mistakes or whatever the a pity party for lack of a better words can give you that short burst of serotonin or whatever it may be, and you get that for a minute, but then it's gone and you're right back in that same spot, and you're kind of always searching for that little boost of it. But I mean, you can be someone who has a bunch of mistakes, but you can also work through those and learn from your mistakes and become something more. And then you are once you are you and you're not your mistakes and you realize it's you, it's just like, okay, this is me. Then I mean, you're in a space that's a million times better, and you're not just stuck at like, okay, this something that happened to me. This is who I am. This is what anyone's going to know me as. And this is all I think of myself. And it seems to be happening a lot. And that's unfortunate. And I don't know. Everyone is at a different altitude, like you were saying, but it's unfortunate if someone thinks that if that's all they are is their mistakes and that's how people are going to know them. It's sad. It sucks. And I don't wish that on anyone. I don't wish anyone that has to have that be them. Like that is me. I am these mistakes. And that's who I'm always going to be, and that sucks. And I wish that we could reach out to those people and let them know that's not who you are and who you have to be your whole life. And I don't know. I hope that someone can, like, at least one person can get something from what you were saying with that and realize that you don't have to be that. And you can just, once you're you, then you're in good shape. Once you're just who you are and you realize you can work through stuff, you realize you can love yourself. That's when you're on the right path.
Exactly. And the other thing that I would just add to that, just to kind of bring it, like you gave like all the layers, I'm just going to put the like little kind of beautiful like arrangement around that. And it's just, once you're on the path of self-discovery and self-love, you start to realize that it really is very true. You want to heal the world, heal yourself, and because, along the way, not only do you start taking it easier on yourself and judging yourself less, you can't get there without realizing that everybody's on that same path. The people that have hurt you, the people that have loved you, even whole countries, even humanity as its entirety, when you look at it as humanity as a one being, we've made some mistakes as a race, and it's applicable across the board. And you can just start to kind of, really start to understand those things. And, but as that happens, the stories and the attachments that those stories have created with certain people and things, they start to dissolve, and it's just, and life becomes an experience instead of, oh my gosh, I have to survive this, or you don't even realize how much we're in survival mode, like daily. If you cannot be completely balanced emotionally and psychologically and present with all of it, then you are in survival mode. I mean, that's the only state that's not in survival mode, from my perspective and my experiences. So when you heal enough to where you can be balanced emotionally and psychologically and be completely present, then you're living and you're thriving. And there's no way you get there without impacting people around you. And even, and we've also been conditioned to put people on pedestals and put things on pedestals. But, I don't like pedestals for nothing or nobody. A pedestal to me, now that I've dissected it, it says, look, this is above you and you'll never achieve that, whether it's a person, place, or whatever. But, instead of saying a pedestal, it's like everybody's on their own path at different varying distances, so if somebody's at a little bit further down the road that normally somebody would say, oh, this person, I need to put them on a pedestal. If you think of them just on a path, it's like, oh no, they're just a little further down. I got to walk a little bit more to reach them, so that makes it internally, it gives you the message that that's attainable, versus the pedestal, which is like, no, you're blocked from that. You're stuck here and you just need to keep looking up there. Well, you know what? My neck starts to hurt if I look up too much. So
Right. Yeah.
I like being able to look like even keel with people and things and stuff like that. It's a lot less tedious on my neck. So
yeah.
I like to know
Yeah.
that, hey, hey, you're further down the road than me. If I need a little bit of advice of how you got there, if you're open to it, I'd ask you. But if not, at least I know, like, hey, boom, 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 you're down that way, So
Yeah.
I'm gonna, but it's never really possible for two people to be at the same place, because your path is your path,
Yeah. You're all on the path, on the what, you're all going there, wherever it is, whatever it is, you're on there. You can't all be in the same place at the same time.
But we have
But
such a fear of something like that, like, wait a minute, you telling me that I'm alone on my, like, anything that keeps you from understanding that is an illusion. We get companionship from each other and everything like that, but the minute that you drew your first breath, you're in this incarnation alone. But I use the word alone generically because there is so much emotional negativity around that word that is just not even funny. It's, but that's the truth of it. And anything else is just an illusion. It's like a whoopee blanket we pull over ourselves to, like, oh my God, the scary monster is not going to get me. But I mean, the truth of it is once you really start to make your peace with that, everything opens up in a different way. So
yeah, once that scary monster is just something, then you're fine. You know, eventually that scary monster is not going to be a scary monster. It's not going to be a scary monster forever. It doesn't need to be. It can be. You can let that be a scary monster and sleep with a nightlight on every night of your life. Or you can just know that the monster, you know, you can go up to the monster and oh, the monster's not that big of a deal. Okay, well, cool. Hey, monster, you're doing your thing. Have fun. And
Invite them over for some tea and crumpets.
right, that sounds great. Yeah, you invite your monster over for tea and crumpets. Bryana, I had a great time getting to talk with you and meet you, and I know what we're going to talk about and get to where we got to. So I appreciate having you on here. This is a good time. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
And then you're not very much present on online. So if I don't know, people want, are you do you other podcasts or do you do anything, or is there a way people, if they want to find you somewhere doing something?
I do have Facebook. I mean, it is there and I do check it periodically. So there's that way to connect. Shortly in the future, I do have some book ideas that I will be generating some books out there for people and stuff like that. So it's just basically stay tuned, you know.
I like it.
I was planning on putting together a podcast as well. But these are all just projects that I've got kind of like on the pinup board right now. So I don't really have a definitive timeline on everything.
Happen when they happen. They'll be there when they're there. And yeah, you let me know when they're there and I will put that out. As much as I'm out in the internet world, I'll put that out there. So yeah, I'm sort of out there in the internet world. I'm more this is my internet world, I guess. But yeah, um, it works. It works. But yeah, I hope you continue doing what you want to do, and you know whatever it is, I don't know, whatever it is, and then yeah, you know what you're doing. No one knows better than you, so just keep doing that. You'll know when it's time to do whatever, or when it's not time to do whatever.
I've considered my path right now just to heal as much as possible. And healing is what gave me the dialogue that I was able to talk about today. So, I mean, but when you're doing self-healing, it's not really this kind of public, big, you know, this
Nope.
is a personal thing that you do for yourself. So, you
Yeah.
know, if that opens me up to things that allow me to have like a podcast talk with you today and express some of the things that I've experienced on my journey, and somebody does pick up on that and it helps them out, my heart
Yeah.
is with you, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, it's all one person gets something out of it, something's cool. We're good. We're in good shape. And so yeah. Bryana, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, thanks for waking up in the morning and yeah, doing the morning thing. So yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Namaste. Have a good one.
All right. That's Bryana Sergott. So yeah, check out Bryana. That was fun. I liked talking with Bryana. I was I don't know. I don't know. Because um let's see. I was recommended Bryana from Amanda. So shout out to Amanda out there for hooking that up. Good call. So you guys, thank you so much. I didn't get to say this. You guys, you can call in and leave a message on this show and I'll play it here. You can leave a message. You can think, I like leaving messages, or maybe you don't like leaving messages and you think,
Messages? Messages? We don't leave no stinking messages!
but I do. So 503-974-6420. And that is the show. Man, boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?